If you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it? Or just let it slip? Yo. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's choking now. The clock's run out, time's up, over, plow. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back's to these ropes. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture this moment and hope it don't get better. Lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better. The soul's escaping through this hole that is gaping. This world is mine for the taking. Make me king as we move toward a new world order. A normal life is boring, but superstardom's close to postmortem. It only grows harder, homie grows hotter. He blows, it's all over. These hoes is all on him. Coast to coast shows, he's known as the Globetrotter. Lonely roads, God only knows he's grown farther from home. He's no father. He goes home and barely knows his own daughter. But hold your nose, cause here goes the cold water. These hoes don't want him no more. He's cold product. They moved on to the next mo who flows. He knows dove and sold nada. And so the soap opera is told. It unfolds. I suppose it's old partner, but the beat goes on.
Absolutely. The beat goes on. Good morning, Turfs Up Radio Nation. Wayne Vose here with Profits Unlimited and your show, Profit Time. Appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys this morning as we head in on Hump Day. Hump Day. We've all made it to another Hump Day. Man, into December already. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Man, you just sit down for a second and you look back and you think, man, where'd the year go? Where has the year gone? We're going to have a good discussion on where the year's gone, where we're at. Got a couple really fun topics to talk about today. I really think we'll get some interaction today. And I look forward to you guys always giving me a little bit of interaction. Heck, a whole lot of interaction makes it even better. But as we move along and we talk about the day and Hump Day, and we're into the first week of December, and my, oh my, time flies when we're having fun. I guess we'll call it fun, right? Hey, that's right. Hey, we're living the dream, so they say. But maybe we are, maybe we aren't. But the reality of it is we got one shot, one opportunity, and today is that new opportunity. So whatever works best for you is what we need to take a look at and see how we can do that. How can we take advantage of today? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But hope you're out working. Hope your crews are out working. If you got, if it's just more than you, hope your season's not completely wrapped up. You might be saying, God, I'm glad it is wrapped up, or I'm glad we're getting to the end of it. But, hey, it's always fun to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's also kind of sad when you sit back and you think, man, you're not going to be going out there and humping at it every day. And, let's look at that perspective just a little bit. We're going to look at that perspective a little bit. Just because let's just look at it from a small company's perspective, a one-truck operation or a two-truck operation. Just because you're coming to the end of your outside work, maybe, unless it's snowing, and we're going to talk a little bit about that too here in just a second. But it doesn't mean it's time to get lazy. Don't has it, that's probably enough don'ts, and I don't say don't very often, but don't get lazy in the wintertime. It's a perfect time to look at your company and look back and say, hey, man, this is what we can do. So anyway, hope you're out there working today. If you're up in northern Ohio and Pennsylvania's way, I believe, and over toward New York, you guys getting a little bit of snow. Cleveland got quite a bit of snow. We're going to touch base on that here in just a second. But, hey, everybody's out doing something, hopefully. I know for us, we were a little slow getting out this morning just from the standpoint we got down to about 24 degrees here in Louisville, Kentucky. And you had to wait for the frost to burn off a little bit before we get out there trudging on lawns, right? Whether we're, doing leaf cleanups, and we're into doing leaf cleanups and fertilizer and lime, and that's pretty much what we're into this week. But got to wait for that frost, right? We don't want the lines or the footprints going across the yards, and we always see a few. I'm sure you've seen that within your own market. If you're in a cold market where you have to deal with frost and wait for frost some mornings. So, but anyway, hey, we got out and about here in Louisville. It's cold, but the sun is out today, and it's going to be a great day. Last couple of days we didn't have an opportunity to get out. We had a little bit of snow come in, just enough to where the ground temperatures were too warm to do any good for snow, but it was just enough snow to where it got the ground messed up to where you couldn't go out and do cleanups. So, you guys know what I'm talking about. Heck, I ain't telling you anything new. It's all happens to all of us. I always say all the time, man, we are the absolute best. We are the absolute best industry at redirecting ourselves on a regular basis. So, got a few fun facts to talk about today as well. Before we get into the fun facts, let's take a quick break here. Turf time is 10:08 a.m. Be back shortly.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Playing the best music.
Hands down and dirty. Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio.
Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up Radio. Turfs Up.
Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, Green Industry pros, are you new to Turfs Up Radio and want to learn more? Then plug in your earphones and keep listening, because Turfs Up Radio invites you to listen while you work. Our 24/7 live radio platform keeps you up to date, bringing you new tips and interviews from pros like you who want to elevate and educate the green industry. Can't make it to industry shows or events? Don't worry, Turfs Up Radio will be there bringing you live coverage, getting you in on the action. So keep listening to Turfs Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, landscape pros, are you tired of digging through rocks and roots and breaking shovels in the process? Then it's time you checked out the GeoRipper 616. It's a landscaper's dream with the Makita 6 Series 2-cycle engine producing over 4 horsepower of raw performance. The 616 digs deep in up to 16 inches of the toughest soils. Lighting, landscape, and irrigation contractors already love this improved lightweight trencher with its ability to get in and get out faster, easier, and with less ground disturbance. And you will too. This redesigned GeoRipper 616 comes with 2 heavy-duty digging chains and a whole mess of helpful extras. To learn more about the GeoRipper and how it can help you out in the field, visit georipper.com today.
Absolutely. georipper.com. For any of you guys that are doing landscape lighting, I say it all the time, but it's just the reality of it, man. If you need something to trench quickly for you, landscape lighting, dog fences, even if you're putting in pop-ups, it's just a multitude of applications for this GeoRipper product. Be sure to check it out if you haven't. You owe it to yourself. Like I say all the time, a lot of times it's something new and you look at it and you think, oh man, it's just, it's one more thing. But this honestly is one more thing that you need to take a look at, georipper.com. Take the time to take a look at it. And I think, if you're doing any of those services and many other things, just anything, it could be a multitude where you just need a small, when I say small, I think it digs like 24 inches or something in the ground. So it's really not small, just a fast trench. Check out the Geo Ripper.
Aha! Yeah! Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., The Weekend Review.
The Weekend Review. The Weekend Review.
With all of your favorite Turf's Up Radio hosts, including Hecubus, the Turf Teacher, Matt the Grass Factor Martin, Wayne the Prophet Bowles, and many more. Join us live as we unpack the week and share what you may have missed live on Turf's Up Radio. That's The Weekend Review, Saturdays at 9 to 10 a.m. right here on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Yeah! Absolutely. Hey, and if you like what you hear on Turf's Up Radio, and if you like what you hear here on Profit Time, be sure to download our podcast. Leave us a review if you haven't. I count on those reviews to find out, hey, if you guys like what you're hearing or not. So wherever you like to get your podcast, go in there, type in Turf's Up Radio, or you can type in Profit Time, and there it is. Download it, and you can hear all of our live shows on your podcast at your convenience. And, being a Sump Day, got great show lineup, an extensive show lineup today. We have great shows every day, as I always say, and it's true. But Hump Day brings a few more things to the plate. And this evening specifically, we got the nightcap with Hecubus. He's on at 8. And and I know a lot of you guys are listening to Hecubus already. But if you haven't, and you're sitting at home working on your work, or just sitting there on the couch just piddling around a little bit, turn my buddy Hecubus on, man, with the nightcap. And you talk about radio theater at its finest. He certainly gets you hooked up there. And then after him, we got Hump Night with the Duck, J.J. Harris at 10. So join him. Try it. Something new. It's fun. They both have really great shows. Hopefully you're liking all of our shows. I know you guys are liking Eric Jones, blowing him up, and Eric does a great job here at Turf's Up Radio. So, and Darren and Daniel with the pump station, and just all of us. We care about what we do. It's just that simple. And when you care about what you do, you're going to do it better. And that's what it's all about. And, I need your feedback on my show on Profit Time, and I appreciate the feedback you guys give me on a regular basis. But, hey, as we go through today, and we're talking about our fun facts, and we get into our big topic that I think we're going to have fun with today, feel free to give me a text for any input. You can reach me at 502-550-8307. That's 502-550-8307. And, the first fun fact of the day that I want to get into, and I think it's appropriate, I was reading the other day, one of the trade magazines, not sure which one it was one of the snow publications, and I was looking at, but, and it made me think about it yesterday when I saw the snow that, Cleveland was getting, and how it was an ongoing snow. For you guys up there around Cleveland listening, I know you're still probably doing a lot of cleanup work. So keep hammering it out. I know you guys have had a lot of hours involved in that storm. It snowed for quite some time. I know a lot of places up there got over a foot of snow, and it was a heavy, wet snow. So I know you guys are working hard to get that one cleaned up. And the neat thing about it is I was listening to the Weather Channel a little bit yesterday, and they were talking about the that snow that was and when I was watching it sometime around lunchtime, I think Cleveland had somewhere like near 5 inches, like 4.8 inches or whatever, and that had already surpassed their largest snow for last year. So you think of Cleveland as just getting hammered all the time, but last year was a rough year for a lot of us. Rough meaning not a lot of snow. So, hey, it's off to a good start up there. But so you guys up around Northern Ohio, you out there busting your tail, and Central Ohio on up further north, keep it safe. You're doing a great job, I'm sure, and you're going to get a well-deserved break after this event's cleaned up, because I know those heavy, wet snows, they're time-consuming, and take it easy on your transmissions. Remember to come to a complete stop. A lot of guys roll from, forward to reverse, and so be sure to come to a complete stop, take care of your trucks, and I'll be okay. You'll get through it. You're going to get it worked out. And speaking of the weather, let's see what Abby's got to tell us about the weather across the country.
Hello, everyone. This is Abby Lancia with Turf Sub Radio reporting your national weather forecast for Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. We are seeing a system coming into the central and southern plains region, bringing in some rain to eastern Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, eastern Texas, and Louisiana. We could see some more severe thunderstorms right on the Gulf Coast on the Texas-Louisiana border. On the back end of the system, we could see a mix of snow and rain in western Kansas and on the Oklahoma Panhandle. In the northeast around the Great Lakes, we have some snow in the forecast throughout upstate New York, into northern Vermont and New Hampshire, up right into Maine, and then things are looking clear for the rest of the country today. The rest of the east cooling down a bit, 54 degrees in Atlanta, 63 in Orlando, Florida. Up in the northern Midwest, it'll be a cool but sunny day, 40 degrees in Minneapolis, 46 in Chicago, and as we approach the west, temperatures will drop a bit more before going up, 36 degrees in Missoula, Montana, below freezing in Denver at 30 degrees. We could see some high elevation flurries up in the Rockies. The west coast is looking at a clear day as well, 49 degrees in Portland, 59 in San Francisco, 76 in LA, not completely sunny, we'll have some clouds scattered throughout. And that is it for today, everyone. This is Abby Lancia with Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Thank you, Abby. Oh, upstate New York, great place. Been up that way a little bit, doing some seminars around Geneva, New York. And you guys, if you're out there hammering it out in the snow, make it while you can. Glad you guys are getting a little bit of money here in early December, and I know you guys have probably been out at least once already anyway. But hey, keep doing what you're doing. It's just that simple, right? Just keep hammering it out, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. We're here to make some money doing snow and ice management this time of the year. And hey, it's off to a great start. Great start for sure. See what Ryan's got to tell us about some sports.
Turf's Up Radio listeners, this is Ryan Breda giving you today's sports report. The Baltimore Ravens versus Pittsburgh Steelers game was postponed again, and it will be played on Wednesday at 3:40 p.m. The game has been postponed numerous times because of the Ravens' coronavirus outbreak, as this becomes the first NFL game this season that has had to be postponed 3 times. Sticking with NFL news now, on Monday, Houston Texans wide receiver Will Fuller announced on Instagram that he has been suspended for 6 games for PED use. Fuller said the violation was a result of his taking prescribed medication not permitted under the policy. And lastly, Boston Celtics point guard Kemba Walker will be out until January after a stem cell injection in his knee. That's it for today's sports report. This is Ryan Breda reporting for Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Thank you, Ryan. Little weather and sports there to keep everybody updated on what's happening and what's going on across the country, and try to have a little bit for everybody. But, we talk about that snow going on, and getting back to that article I was telling you guys I read, and and maybe you've seen it, but if you haven't, I think it's important enough to bring up. This happened over in New Jersey, you guys on the East Coast. And maybe this might be a rerun for some of you guys, but if you haven't heard it yet, about the, quite simply what happened, the Superior Court in New Jersey changed a ruling from a lower court that said the ongoing storm rule doesn't apply in this slip and fall lawsuit that was brought about. And because evidently there was some protection given contractors during an event, and not just a contractor, but the owner per se, really, I mean, that's what it really boils down to. There was some protection there given to the, the property owner, property manager, whatnot. And that during an ongoing storm, as you guys know the rule, there wasn't as much effort per se. And I want to say this is going to come out wrong when I say it, but you had some leeway to get the snow cleared off. But once the storm had ended, then, hey, you had to get it cleared off. And what the Superior Court ruled was that they've decided that it's now the ongoing storm rule was put out, and this slip and fall lawsuit that went on said no, that the due diligence wasn't provided by the property owner and manager. And the reason I think that's so important to all of us as snow and ice management providers and risk managers, that's basically what we are, right? I mean, we manage risk from the snow and ice management side for our customers. I think that becomes an opportunity now for you guys to reapproach maybe your customers that have you on a 3 or 4 inch trigger for snow, that you got some ammunition now to go back and say, hey, here's maybe why we want to rewrite this contract. Because that certainly is going to be a potential headache moving forward for you guys in New Jersey and maybe some other states as well that may potentially have that ongoing storm, quote unquote, rule. But now the superior courts in New Jersey certainly, and maybe some other states are going to, say, hey, no, you know what, we need to work on this as it's coming down and stay on top of it regularly with customary and ordinary industry standard techniques. So what's that do for you? Well, I certainly think it opens up an opportunity. If it's more frequent service, it's more frequent service, and with more frequent service comes additional opportunities, not just to make a safe way, but certainly help you make more money. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of neat, and I thought it was worth talking about a little bit this morning. And because if you haven't heard it, it's certainly something to bring up just from a due diligence standpoint to let your customers know. So anyway, it also went on to say that, and we all know this, but the detailed record keeping and proof of service. I talked about that on my webinar the other night. How important it is not to just go out and provide the service, and when you get back home or you get back to the shop or whatnot, you don't just go back through your list and say, okay, I was there about 10 p.m. or 1:09 a.m. and let's see, I plowed that one, but I just applied a de-icing material there. Document the conditions and what was done when you were on each property as you're moving along. Because there's nothing more important than proper documentation. And multiple reasons. I mean, obviously to slip and fall, right? But just from the billing standpoint as well, and it's a whole lot easier to do it while you're there. And I was looking at one of the forums last night, and that was actually a big topic of discussion was, how do you guys keep track when you're out in a storm? You're doing it, by hand, you're doing it electronically, is it a digital format? Exactly, how are you doing it? And a lot of guys writing it down, a lot of guys are doing it electronically. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter how you do it, just do it. Just do it. Make sure you've got that record of what time you were there. Did you plow it? Did you apply an ice melter? Did you do the sidewalks? Because you've only got one time to document it right, and that's when you're there. Other than that, you're trying to go off your memory, and after you've been out a few hours, sometimes your memory's not as good as it used to be. So just something to think about. Just something to think about that regardless of how you're keeping that documentation, make sure you're keeping the documentation. It's one of the most important things that we do as a snow and ice management service is to keep that documentation in case we have a slip and fall. And I don't want to keep beating that horse over the head, but, the more snow we get in different markets and the more times you're out and the longer you've been providing service, from 1 year to 2 years to 10 years to 15 years, sooner or later something's probably going to happen. And you need to have that documentation on when you were there, what time you were there, what the conditions were when you're there, and, how you service that property and what was your return frequency to that property. So just something to think about. I thought that was certainly worth talking about there for a few minutes. And let's sit here and we'll take a listen here to little Brad Paisley on a song that I think you guys appreciate. We'll be right back.
I remember saying I don't care either way, just as long as he or she is healthy, I'm okay. And then the doctor pointed to the corner of the screen and said, "You see that thing right there? Well, you know what that means." I started wondering who he was gonna be, and I thought, heaven help us if he's anything like me. He'll probably climb a tree too tall and ride his bike too fast, end up every summer wearing something in a cast. He's gonna throw a ball and break some glass in a window down the street. He's gonna get in trouble, he's gonna get in fights. I'm gonna lose my temper and some sleep. It's safe to say that I'm gonna get my payback if he's anything like me. I can see him right now, knees all skinned up with a magnifying glass, trying to melt the Tonka truck. Won't he be a sight with his football helmet on? Well, that'll be his first love till his first love comes along. He'll get his heart broke by the time he's in his teens, and heaven help him if he's anything like me. He'll probably stay out too late and drive his car too fast, get a speeding ticket that he'll pay for mowing grass. He's gonna get caught skipping class and be grounded for a week. He's gonna get in trouble, we're gonna get in fights. I'm gonna lose my temper and some sleep. It's safe to say that I'm gonna get my payback if he's anything like me. He's gonna love me and hate me along the way. Years are gonna fly by, I already dread the day. He's gonna hug his mama, he's gonna shake my hand, he's gonna act like he can't wait to leave. But as he drives out, he'll cry his eyes out if he's anything like me. There's worse folks to be like, oh, he'll be alright if he's anything like me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If he's anything like me. I love that song. You know, you think about it, and for all you people out there with kids, and even if you don't have kids, man, I think it just certainly strikes a little bit of feeling going on. So, you know, to a certain extent, you want your kids to be like you. In some ways, we all say, God, I hope they don't do that. So, but anyway, hey, turf time. It's 10:31. We'll be right back.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, no one rocks like Turf's Up Radio. Turf's Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey, Turf's Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time for Turf's Up Radio. Now you can catch us streaming live 24/7 with pro talk, pro tips, and pro interviews. Simply visit turfsupradio.com.
Hey Turf's Up Radio fans, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's Turf's Up Radio time. Now you can hear the latest updates in green industry news, services and technology. Learn about new products all while enjoying the best music. If you don't believe me, then ask my good friend Alexa. Just say launch Turf's Up Radio.
Launch Turf's Up Radio. Yes indeedy. Your industry, your station. You know, hey, again, we got a great show lineup on Hump Day. Be sure to listen all day. I know we all, you know, some of you guys may really like me or really like Eric or really like Hecubus, and we appreciate you tuning into those individual shows. But take the time, or, you know, maybe you just say, man, I just like the pump station. Gets me going in the morning, and I always, you know, learn a lot of things from Daniel, whatever it is. But we appreciate you listening. But we got a full day lineup, and just because you know, sometimes we're coming to the time of the year for a lot of us going to have a little more free time. You're sitting in the office, you're working on some proposals, you're figuring out what you did maybe wrong, or and gosh, I know that wasn't politically correct to say that, but you know, sometimes we just do things wrong that we got to fix within our businesses. And you know, so whatever it is that you're doing, you're going to have more time to listen to Turf's Up. And you know, like I always ask, send some of your good things in that you're doing with your company. Because I guarantee you, as minimal as you may say, well, oh man, everybody's doing that anyway. I guarantee you got something you're doing within your company that most of us aren't doing. And I would love to take your idea and implement it within my company here at Wayne's Lawn Service. We've all got great ideas. We all do things well. We all do a lot of things well. Share that with Turf's Up Radio Nation, because that's why we're all here. That's why you're here listening. That's why I'm here. That's why I listen. You know, because we've all got good things to contribute. We need to hear from you. Even though you don't believe it, we need to hear from you. You might be out there thinking, well, you know, but Wayne, I'm just mowing 30, 40 yards a week. I do it. It's a part-time thing for me. Man, we want to hear it. You're just as important as the large national company as far as I'm concerned. You know, and I sincerely mean that. I sincerely mean that. Take time, send it to us here at Turf's Up Radio. Text what you do to me if you want to. 502-550-8307. It's 502-550-8307. What's something that you do that you know works well? It can be something very simple. It can be, hey, I do my billing on this state versus this state, and here's why. Or I only take on customers that we have a credit card or on file with, or, you know, whatever it may be. Hey, I run my routes this way because. Share your knowledge with us so we can be more successful and more profitable too. It's really what it boils down to. So getting back to one other thing about snow that I want to talk about before we move along into my main topic here today is, you guys might have seen this, but if you haven't, I thought it was really cool. And I told you guys, I don't read enough. I know that. I don't read enough, so maybe you guys have already read this and seen it, but I thought it was really neat. And where both Ford Motor Company and Dodge Ram trucks 2021 are coming out with their enhanced snow prep packages. And, for me, that used to mean, hey, it was the alternator, heavy-duty alternator, battery, a little better suspension in the front end. But they're actually adding more to it than that. And I don't know if you guys have seen that. And this is going to be on their 2021 vehicles. And it's going to be the truck side plowing harness is already going to be there. And I think that's a pretty cool feature, for us as an industry. And it's even going to be on the Ram trucks. It's going to be down even to their 1500 series. So I think that's something that's a really good idea. It shows that they care about us, and we're a significant part of their business, and they understand that. So if you haven't read that yet, check it out. I mean, so what it's going to do for you when you plug into that, when your plow plug plugs into their pre-existing harness at this point, then we're not going to have to worry about, excuse me, the front end collision issue is going to be shut off. Your parking sensors are turned off. Any of the active cruise features are going to be shut off. So it's just some things to make our life a little bit easier, make the installation a little bit easier. And you might be thinking, man, this is going to cost a fortune. No, they're saying this is all done for under a couple $100 as a prep package. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. Regardless of, and you might think, man, I'd never own a Ford or I'd never own a Dodge. That's okay, man. I'm sure Chevy's either bringing it or, they'll have it too. Once one does it, they're all going to do it. They're not going to want to miss out on that. But I thought it was worth talking about. So with that being said, here's what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes. And first of all, when I say this, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way when I say it, because it's going to sound a little bit hardcore. But I want you to put your thinking cap on, because I certainly want a little bit of feedback from you, or a whole lot of feedback, either way. What separates a grass cutter from a professional? What separates a grass cutter from a professional? And as you think about that, and you think about it, if you want to text me your answer or multiple answers, do that. 502-550-8307. It's 502-550-8307. What separates a grass cutter from a professional? And as we listen to Foreigner here, think about it and shoot me a text. Let me know what you think. We're going to talk about it.
Someday you'll pay the price, and I know I've seen it before. It happens all the time. You're closing the door, you leave the world behind. You can go, you're thrown away. A fortunate feeling. but you're throwing away a fortunate feeling. Someday you'll pay. Cold as ice, you know that you are. Cold as ice, you're cold as ice to me. As ice. Cold as
Cold as ice. Absolutely. Hopefully you had a minute to think about what separates a grass cutter from a professional. What does separate a grass cutter from a professional, in your opinion? I'll tell you what I think it is, just right off the bat. I think it's simply just a couple things. And as that song finishes up there, just want to touch base with, man, when you listen to things as a live song in a concert, man, they're always so much better, or I like them a lot better than just the song itself. But it's kind of like being a grass cutter or professional. The answer, I think, is simple. I really do. I think the answer is simple, and I think the answer is there's room for both within our industry. But unfortunately, what we need to do is, what can you do to put your side on a more professional level? And again, I don't want to step on anybody's foot or make you feel bad and say, I can't believe you're calling me out, Wayne. I'm not calling anybody out. I just think there's a big difference between a grass cutter and a professional. And for about 6, 7, 8 years that I was in business initially, I thought I was a professional, but really I was just a full-time grass cutter. Because I think the two things that we need to look at to be a professional, number one is caring about what we do. And I'm just mowing a few lawns on the side. That's all it is. It's no big deal. Well, it's obviously a big deal. You made an investment in the equipment and your time to do it, to go out and make some money. So it is a big deal. You don't have to have a grand idea of, having a full-blown business per se, running multiple trucks and multiple people and that whole thing to take a professional approach. But we got to care. And I think we got to care, and then we got to have confidence in what we do. And the way we gain that confidence, I think, is simple. It's training and education for ourselves. Have you taken the time for training and education? And again, you may say, well, I'm a small service. Training for what? Training on, if nothing other than, let's just say all you want to do is mow 30 lawns a week. But you can better train yourself not on mowing the lawn, but what about grass identification? The type of grass that you're mowing. So you're mowing at the right height. So the guy that's treating the yard's not going to your customer and saying, that guy mowing the lawn, how many times haven't you heard that? That guy mowing the lawn's mowing too low or mowing too high or his blades are dull. And how do you respond to that with a customer? Well, you can have confidence in that response if you've taken the time to train and educate yourself on different grass species and what their mowing height should be. And say, well, okay, because what I've found in 41 years of doing this, that there's just as many uneducated applicators as there are uneducated grass cutters. Let me say that again, and I don't mean to throw anybody under the bus, but I've seen just as many uneducated applicators as I've seen grass cutters. But our customer wants to think that the company that's making their application is the right answer, and they come to us. And why is that? Because they don't perceive us as a professional. And that's what we need to do. And how do we do that? How do you do that? Train and educate yourself, regardless of if you're simply just mowing lawns or if you're full-blown mowing lawns and doing landscaping. Train and educate yourself on any service that you provide so you can talk to your customers professionally. And then all of a sudden, when the guy treating the lawn, if it's not you, says, oh, well, Wayne's mowing the grass way too short. And they come to you, your customer, and says, Wayne, XYZ company that's treating my yard says, you're mowing too short or your blades are dull or this or that. I remember for a long time, I didn't have a good answer for that. I just said, okay, and I would change it. But once I've understood that, no, my mowing height is correct because, hey, we're mowing fescue lawns or we're mowing bluegrass lawns or we're mowing zoysia lawns or we're mowing centipede or, whatever the heck it is, doesn't matter. But you got to know. And when you know, it goes back to what I always say. We don't know what we don't know a lot of times. We've got to educate ourselves. We got to train ourselves better because once we've done that, then we become a professional in our client's eyes. And if we look professional and we act professional, guess what? You're exactly right. You'll be treated professionally. So training and education goes a long way to caring and having confidence in what you're doing. And those two things alone, regardless of the size of your company, will set your company apart. Turf Time is 10:50 a.m., and we'll be right back. We're not done with that topic.
You're listening to Turf's Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Now you can even ask Alexa to tune you in when you're home.
Hey, Green Industry Pros, Turfs Up Radio is celebrating what a great first year we had and wants to give you $100 just for being involved. That's right. All you have to do is visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 and follow a few easy steps. When you hear your name live on the radio, we're going to send you a crisp $100 bill. So be sure to visit turfsupradio.com/shout out for 100 to claim your cash. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station. Hey, this is Darren, your host of Raise the Mic here on Turfs Up Radio. Be sure not to miss a new episode every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. when I'll be raising the mic to another green industry professional like you. You'll hear how others got started in the business, how they've achieved success, and best of all, how you can learn from their experience. That's Raise the Mic every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey, Turfs Up Radio fans, keep missing industry events but want to stay up to date on the action? Then simply download the Road Fuel podcast by Turfs Up Radio on your mobile device. You'll hear everything you missed, including great interviews with showgoers and vendors keeping you in the know. That's the Road Fuel podcast by Turfs Up Radio, or simply visit turfsupradio.com/Road Fuel.
All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. You know, again, if you perceive yourself as a professional, you're going to be a professional. It's just that simple, because, you know, it's not just cutting grass. And I don't want you guys out there that are listening to me today saying, well, man, Wayne, I'm a much larger company than that. You know, it seems that you're just talking to a guy that's a one-truck operation on 30 lawns or 40 lawns or 50 lawns. No, I think this boils down to even very large services. Because I've dealt with and talked to and worked with some pretty good-sized companies that when we drilled down on it, they really were grass cutters. Nothing wrong with being a grass cutter, but we got to be a professional first. And once we make that and take that transition to go to be a professional first, then, hey, we can cut grass, we can do landscaping, we can treat lawns, you know, we can do snow and ice management, all those other diversification of services. Then we can do all that. You know, let's look at something just quickly. Let's just say you damage something on somebody's property. Talk about, you know, what's the difference between a grass cutter and a professional. Let's just say you damage something on somebody's property. Do you let them know, or do you just hurry up and leave and hope they don't notice that you hit the gutter or you hit the air conditioning unit, or, you know, you hit the tree or you hit the fence or whatever the damage is? You ran over a rug, so you just pick the rug up and take it with you because they're not home and they'll never notice. And, well, where'd my rug go? Well, I don't know. You know. Or do you do it more professionally? If you damage something, do you have an accident sheet that you carry with you in your truck? If not, it's something. Hit me up, man. We got one we carry in all of our trucks. It's not that we're always tearing something up, but if we do and a customer's not home, we leave it. It's a yellow sheet of paper. It says, oops, we had an accident. And we leave it there for them and let them know what happened, and that we'll be following up with them when they get home. You know, I think that's something simple we can do. Another thing that separates a grass cutter from a professional is suggestive selling. As crazy as that sounds, you know, Brooke Ford's got our, the Green Veteran on Saturday mornings. You know, we were talking a little bit about this in our weekend review last Saturday. I was going to talk about this today. And he said he's got a really great guy that cuts his yard for him. Been doing it about 3 years or so. Shows up, he's dependable, does a great job, but he says he doesn't suggest things to him that he could get done, like mulching or trimming or whatnot. And I think that's something that we all miss out on. I think that may be something that you're missing out on. You know, we're there at the property. A lot of times our customer just wants to be pushed a little bit to say, hey, you know, now's the time to trim hedges. Now's the time to do this. Now's the time to do that. All we got to do is ask. But a lot of times the mindset I had was like, oh, God, they're not going to want to do that. How many times haven't you said that to yourself? They're not going to want to do that. All we got to do is ask. You know, as Steve Cohen says, man, that's the low-hanging fruit, the little things that are right there that you see all the time, whether it's mulching, hedge trimming, flowers, maybe they got a shrub that's died that needs to be replaced. Those are the things, I think, quickly that we can look at that separate a grass cutter from a professional. The question is, what are you willing to do to make that transition to be a little more professional than you are today? Like when my song comes on at the beginning of the show, you got one chance. Every day is a new opportunity. What are you going to do with that opportunity? All I ask you to do is to look at your company right now and say, what can I do to be more professional? And if you tell me there's nothing you can do, you're closed-minded. Every one of us, including myself and you and everybody listening today, we can all do something a little bit different than the way we did it the day before to be a little more professional. Goes back to, a lot of things. It's a million things, and God, no way we'd get it in a show in an hour, a week, or even a month probably. But, the reality of what separates a grass cutter from a professional, it's a million little things. But if we take care of the little things, the big things are going to take care of themselves. It's just that simple. Hey, be sure to download my podcast. Go to wherever it is you like to get your podcast. Type in Prophet Time. And anybody here on Turf's Up Radio, if you want to hear more of their live shows, simply type in Turf's Up Radio. All of our podcasts to come in there, whether you want the Pump Station or the, Keeping Up with Mr. Jones, the Carpool, whatever it is, Heckabus, the Green Veteran, J.J. Harris, whatever it is, download it. Listen to it anytime you want that away. If you want to go back and say, oh, man, I want to hear that other episode. So reach out. If you got any questions, you always can shoot me an email at WayneVoles01@gmail.com. And if you got any questions about Profits Unlimited, feel free to reach out to me on my cell phone, 502-550-8307. Or check out our website at Profits R Us. That's PROFITSAREUS, ProfitsRUs.com. Got a lot of things to help your company be more successful and more profitable. And by the way, today, Hump Day, today, Wednesday, I'm going to be a special guest with the Three Wise Guys today, with Adam and Steve. So join me today as well. I know you're going to be listening to their show anyway, but I'll be on there today at 3. So with that being said, remember, everybody, profit is not a dirty word.